Go ahead and call the meeting to order, 4 o'clock. The minutes for the March 11th, 25 meeting. Any additions, corrections? Do we have a motion to approve?
We did make changes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Second.
Now,
Okay.
I'm the senior member of this group, so I'm going to do the opening statement. We, first of all of us want to thank you for being here and want to acknowledge your interest in the library. You are as interested as we are. Rest assured that this group is taking this very seriously, very hard. I've been on the board now off and on for a long time, and I can tell you this is a wonderful group to work with, and I'm proud to be a member. I just want to tell you that in today's agenda, we will not be discussing at this meeting, but we will address the budget in the next meeting, which will be May 13th at LaVale. And then it probably, but the meeting following, you need to know about that one, will be in June. It will be June 10th at LaVale. Both of them are, and you're certainly welcome to come. We appreciate your patience. We appreciate your engagement. And most importantly, we appreciate your passion. So that's how we're going to begin tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, statistics.
Ashley will walk us through.
Hello, okay, this mic's going good. Sorry, good evening. In front of you, you have the summary of the services for the month of March 2025. You can see that we were slightly down in users, user registrations, visitors, and Wi-Fi sessions. But I think we can account this to March last year, we were giving out Chromebooks. It was during the Chromebook distribution, so we saw a lot of people coming in. Some feedback we'll look into. And a lot of people signing up for library cards, which is great. And I think it's a win that we were just slightly down in visitors because we had a lot of people coming in and getting Chromebooks. So we're happy to see the physical circulations going up there 5%. That's a nice jump that that we one of the highest increases we've seen in physical circulation for a while. And then at the back there, there's some great stories and photos from things that happened in March in the libraries. And I'll talk about it more in a little bit, but here. Sorry about the technical issues. It's all a learning curve here. We are participating in the statewide 101 Reasons Why I Love My Library campaign. So we did a call out for people to share why they love their libraries and it received some great stories. So there's a couple of those on the back there too. Does anyone have any questions about the statistics? Thank you.
That first arrow looks like it's down, but overall everything else is up. So it's great.
This is the March 2025 financial report highlight. First of all, on the income side, in March, we submitted $44,522.53 in grant reimbursements from the Western Maryland Regional Library Public Relations Grant, Marketing Grant, and Unrestricted Surplus Grant. In fines and fees, copier and printing income, in March, there was $2,309 collected in fines and fees, $347 in copier, and $855 in printing income. For gifts and memorials, we received $6,755 in donations, including a $5,000 donation from the South Cumberland Library Trust and $660 from the Friends of the LaVale Library. Several gifts were given for summer at your library, which is our summer reading event, including $250 from Armstrong Insurance, $500 from Dr. Ryan Pencil, and $100 from Mary Ann Livingood. On the expenses side, in programming and outreach supplies, there were $1,679 spent for supplies for the children's programs and branch programs, including paint sticks, coffee and refreshments, seed envelopes, and poster board. In 6,007 collection processing supplies, we purchased a new barcode reader for Western Port Library and some call number label protectors for a total of $426. We spent $4,600 in cleaning, $4,900 for the electric bills, $6,500 for gas, $1,500 for telephone, $347 for vehicles, and that was fuel for 3 vehicles and an oil change for one of them. And $132,503 in wages and benefits. For collections, there was $11,895 spent on library materials for all the branches. And last but not least, in gifts and memorials expenses, we spent $4,562 for books with several gifts. And on the programming side, we spent another $5,000 for programming supplies with gifts from the Reeves Foundation for Western Port, Nancy Stepp for Frostburg, the Western Maryland Watercolor Society for art programs, and the Friends of the LaVale Library. Are there any questions about the financial reports for March or the year to date?
Just offhand, since we stopped finding some folks, yeah, just offhand, I think everybody can hear me. The fines and fees, is that down a lot from a year ago last? Go ahead.
Our fines and fees have been dropping fairly significantly. If you remember, 2017, 2018 was the first piece of legislation where the children's materials went fine-free for children. And then the more recent one that you're talking about is when the fines and fees legislation went into effect so that no one, regardless of age, was charged for fines and fees for children's materials or materials intended for children. So yes, we have seen, pretty significant declines in the fines and fees income as a result of those legislations.
Are y'all finding parents trying to slip things by or adults? not
Like
parents, I'm
negative
sorry, but-
consequences to them? No, not really, because the circulation system sort of controls a lot of what's charged and what isn't. So I think, as far as that's concerned, really nothing
Okay,
there.
so if I came in with a book and I said, oh, it's the child book,
It's all controlled like in the cataloging, as far
Okay.
as the collection codes that they're cataloged under. And
okay,
then all the low rules and stuff in the circulation system would prevent you from being able to do any shenanigans.
okay.
It's not his name.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Great, thank you, Lisa.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the statistical and financial reports.
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? New business. Nothing.
We have no new business.
Unfinished business. Board member interview committee.
Excellent. So since our last meeting in March, board members and staff have nominated 7 individuals to serve as candidates to replace Sue Rudd when her term ends at the end of June. Those nominated candidates are Carol Kenny, Charles Shockney, Rosa Garcia, Megan Murphy, Katie Rankin, Jim Ritchie, and Susan Nolan. At this point, what we'll need is a an additional, a second board member to serve on the interview committee. And we'll do, with Renee and myself, our three members will, serve as the preliminary interview team where we'll review all seven of them and we'll, come back and make a recommendation to the board. So,
Have all those people shown an interest, or is it just us saying that they're interested?
that'll be the first step, is to make sure that they're all interested, yes.
Did you want to volunteer?
I have your name written down already.
Oh, okay. Good job. Well, thank you.
So,
I don't know if we'll be able to replace Sue though.
I don't think so either, already, but we'll try like that.
You think we could call her trustee emeritus?
No,
Oh,
so we have Artie joining the team and Julie will serve as a backup if we need it. Super, thank you very much. We will be in contact, and get our meeting set up. Thank you, thank you.
Volunteer program discussion?
So in late March, we sent out to the board the volunteer policies and procedures. Were there any suggestions or upgrades that the board wanted to see that would increase the likelihood of individuals volunteering?
It needs to be shortened
The application,
policy.
it's only a page, it's only one page back and forth.
Guideline, a book or just quite frankly.
There is a book that is a subset of the employee handbook, yes. But how does that work, Andrea? Do they get that after they?
Yes, it would be for the first day. So it was just, it's given to them so they follow like the basic policies and procedures of the library. So, and that way there's no, I think one of the things is like harassment, things like that. So it's one of the first things that we do on their first day, that they just read over to make sure that they follow that. But as far as like the application, it's not part of it.
so as far as liability is concerned, is that in the book that Julie was talking about? Any? Okay,
Yes, it's, and there's a basic sign off. It's so that way they read and understand it,
okay.
that these basic policies need to be followed when you're volunteering in the library. And they also will get a badge, and that way, if, like, for example, they're allowed in the break rooms, things like that, that the.
And the process is, Andrea's got a process where the individuals are checked out, and then they're interviewing with the service leader of the branch that they're volunteering in. The hours are coordinated. There's a basic background check on them to make sure that we're not, that we're keeping our environment as safe as possible. So all of that is tied into the process. And that's why there's a page and a half or 2 pages back and front.
What's the minimum age?
13, I believe, yeah.
Do they have to have anything from the school, kind of like a job?
We just have a parent,
Just
a parent guardian signature. And the same process follows. They still meet with the service leader at the branch to discuss, make sure they meet all the qualifications. Alphabetizing.
Will there be any onboarding? Online onboarding, or how are we onboarding, so they'll have basic understanding?
We do a shelving guide that goes over the Dewey Decimal System and alphabetizing all the different collections. And then there is a short test, that's after they would have been brought on as a volunteer in their first day. They go over that with the service leader, at the work assignment, if they're gonna be doing that type of shelving work, which is typically what most of our current volunteers are doing.
Okay. And what's the Dewey Decimal? I'm just kidding.
This typically is what I'm saying.
oh, already, you don't know.
Very good. Thank you. Oh, and we do have copies of the volunteer application here, so I know there was some interest in the community group's previous meeting, so we made those volunteer applications available here to fill out and drop off. we'll take them and go from there.
Are they available on the website?
Are they available on the website? I think they,
Don't think they're on the public website. I think they're generally just at the desk.
yeah, typically they'll come in and talk to a staff member who can then print it off and hand it to them and get it going that way.
Or if they do email, if they fill out the contact us or email any of the staff, we can send a digital copy that way too. We have digital copies, I just don't think they're currently on our public.
Anything else on that? Fundraising program discussion?
Yeah, in response to the motion at the last meeting, I just wanted to give the board an update that staff have begun meeting, regarding, drafting and revising the best way to increase our fundraising. These discussions are taking place in conjunction with the possible changes, in the library system and its budget moving forward, so, it's another one of those situations where we're making plans the best we can without having any solid fixed position in the, until the county drops their budget. So we'll, continue to work on that, but I just wanted to let you know that we have started that.
Any questions? Okay. Leadership team updates?
Questions from the board to the leadership team? Anything that didn't make sense?
Okay. Public comment.
All right. Actually, could you grab the clipboard for us so that we know who signed up to speak? Thank you.
I'll make a post for anybody online to indicate if they would like to speak and they'll
Thank
go.
you. Carrie D. Michelle,
Mike,
DeMichael. Excuse me.
yes. I'm just gonna speak. I think I can project here. Good afternoon. My concerns today are regarding the current lack of timely and transparent information being provided by Mr. Togg and his Board of Trustees. Specifically, I would like to address the Western Port Branch's goal of raising $122,000, a considerable sum for a community struggling with significant economic challenges. Western Port is a small town with a population of 2,500 people. Our residents live in a Title I school district with 40% or more of poverty level. It is inconceivable and unfair to ask for our residents to be expected to raise $122,000, especially considering that this financial problem has been brewing over the last 3 years and only brought to the residents' attention this spring. To ask now for this kind of swift action by residents seems highly irresponsible to me, and I find it difficult to understand how Executive Director Mr. Togg could allow this situation to manifest in such a way and without taking proactive measures. To my knowledge, Georges Creek and Washington Street branches are dealing with this issue without the knowledge of the amount of money they are expected to raise to help keep their branches open. How are they expected to deal with this situation without that basic information? While we all understand the importance of raising funds to maintain and enhance our library services, with that being said, I would have never dreamed we would be asked to raise $122,000 to keep our branch open. Not to mention the fact that if we can raise the $122,000, we have been given no guarantee that you will not close our branch. I assume this uncertainty would apply to our friends at Georges Creek Library and Washington Street branch as well. This is simply not acceptable. It is imperative that the board provide clearer, more timely, and more realistic information to ensure that all branches, including Western Port, have a realistic and achievable strategy. With an impending date for the vote of closure quickly approaching, it is absolutely imperative to stop stalling and provide all necessary information to all affected parties. Finally, take it off the table. As County Commissioner, Mr. Bill Atkinson said at last week's County Commissioners budget meeting, simply take closing any library branch off the table. Find other ways in your budget just as the other agencies who presented prior to Mr. Cobb did to cut costs. In my opinion, the perfect place to start cutting would be the administration cost. I look forward to collaboratively working with you all to ensure the success of our library system for all members of our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Vicky Brenneman.
Our buttons this month are Keep Mamie's Libraries. I'm here to tell you about Mamie. Mamie is every child. She represents every child in an economically depressed area who needs access to their library. Mamie is also my granddaughter. I think it was her checking out the book dance that I posted online that inspired the button. Thank you to Karen and Trish, who surprised me with this. I knew nothing about it. Mamie is very proud. I wish she could be here today to do the checking out the book dance for you. She's with her father this week. Mamie is from a divorced family. Mamie is also, at her parents' decision, homeschooled. She needs access to books. As a very small child, she was enrolled in Dolly's library. As you know, Dolly Parton sends out books to young children up to age 5. She was so inspired by Dolly's books that at 3 years old, she was Dolly for Halloween. This is where her love of books began. No child is going to love a book or literature if you cannot put books into their hands. Every child deserves to have books in their hands. Dolly's doing everything she can. We need to pick up the pieces from age 5 forward. Mamie is every child. I'm here to talk for every child. Mamie will be in libraries. There is nothing that's going to keep her out. She loves every library in our system. In fact, she will tell you that her favorite day ever at the library was the day that she got to visit the Georges Creek Library and read a book to Mika the dog. Mika the dog is spelled M-I-C-A. Mamie's cousin, Micah the girl, is spelled M-I-C-A. They thought they were going to read to Micah the dog, and it turns out we had the pronunciation wrong. But it was a great day for both of my grandchildren. They both are book lovers. Every child is a book lover if you can just get books into their hands. And I'm appealing to you, please, do not take that away from the children who are least likely to be able to visit libraries or own books of their own if their branches are closed. And that's my message today. Thank you. Save Mamie's Libraries.
Thank you.
Lawrence Alter.
Yes, excuse me, I'll take that button. People, I don't know who this person is, I never met the person. I just told you. But I do know one thing, this person never saw a magazine in a library. And this person, I don't know this person was never read a story from a magazine because magazines don't exist. Okay. I came to this community about 1.25 years ago. Okay. I happen to come from a large city. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter where I come from. I happen to be Southern California. I happen to be a large city. I asked the library assistant, where are the magazines? Where's your magazine center? It's a big enough library to have a magazine. They have 3 magazine titles. I remember them very well. Okay, 3 magazine titles. One was a local magazine, Allegheny County Magazine. Okay. One was Time Magazine, which is a national news magazine. All right. And the third one was People Magazine. Now, I'm going to put down People Magazine, I'm afraid. It basically is just celebrating celebrities. That's all it is. So those were the 3 magazines in this library about 1.25 years ago. Now there's no magazines. Now you can say, as Mr. Todd would say, I've had several discussions with him, but it's a question of money. It's not a question. Those 3 titles were chosen for some reason. Other 3 titles could have been chosen. I don't know. It's about selection. And in library terminology, that's called acquisition. Okay. Interestingly enough, you'll never hear a discussion about acquisitions. There's no library journal in a library. And I don't mean here. No library, maybe a university library might have a library journal. Maybe. And then you'll discover how the materials are selected. But no, you're not going to see a library journal. You're not going to see a children's magazine. Why? A lot of children. This is one child. There's a lot of children. And I'm not biased. I have no children. There's no reason I should have a special interest in children. A lot of you have children. You're not going to see a children's magazine. We can talk about health. The health of this community, and I think Mr. Taub agreed with me, it's subpar. Okay, I used to take taxis in this community. Now I don't have the money to take taxis. And they're all have serious issues. All of them. I don't generalize. Absolutely. They all have health issues. I took one taxi. I don't know how much time I have left. I'm sorry if I'm speaking to the off period. I took one taxi one time, right? He was missing a leg. Okay. Now, I know there's a lot of military veterans in this community. I just assumed there was a military injury. I mean, it's a safe assumption. No, that wasn't it. He had diabetes.
Mr. Alter?
No.
You're at 3 minutes.
Okay. Can I have another half a minute?
Half.
Okay. He had diabetes. That's what I felt like. And I told him, do you know why you have diabetes? And he didn't know what to say, you know. Personally, I said, blame your library. There's no up-to-date information about medical issues. Yes, there are books. They're probably several years old. I haven't seen a book promoted. Maybe it has. Maybe I've missed out on a health book promoted. I might have missed out on that. Can I have another 15 seconds? No.
Sorry.
Okay.
no.
So I wrote a little handout about this situation. The lack of magazines. So I'm told I can hand this out. I was told. Yes, okay. So you received a personal copy.
Jack Coburn?
There's 2 there.
I think it's cleaning up.
Good evening, board, Madam Chair, Mr. Tobes. This all started, it was hard to see who to blame. But the issue is, I want to commend the board. I've spoken to most of the board members off the record, not mention names. They do have a heartstring here. They do not want these libraries closed. And they're the ones who have to make that decision. The budget, Mr. Tobes, just to adjust, they did drop the budget last night at county. It is out there. Unfortunately, your budget is identically the same as it was last year. So you will have to probably work with those.
The same as it was last year,
It should
flat?
be $1,139,000 according to the print off from county. So you will have to work with that. But it's one of those things where we all work off budgets. Unfortunately, sometimes your budgets are out of control at the top. I think our area is at 74% of payroll, which is very high to run any business, whether it's a store or a business or a library. Anyway, you got a tough decision to make. I don't want to see our libraries closed. I don't think any of you do. But in order to make that happen, it's going to take some serious recognition on that budget. I do know Mr. Tobes was asked at the last meeting to produce 2 or 3 possible budgets to work from. Hopefully he's done that. But we cannot lose libraries in a small community. It's just unreasonable. The last meeting already brought up a very good point about, and Arnie and I talked at the budget meeting the other day. Right now, you have no idea who's in this building because people can come and go as they want. You have to have a library. So why not make that library card, as Arnie and I spoke, your door card? When you go to the courthouse, you sweep that card, it identifies you. What would happen if you applied to the Homeland Security, their grant would cover those things because it's a protection to your. That would be your card, would tell you who's in there, it'd keep your numbers in place. If every time that individual was in this library and there's a problem, disconnect the card, make sure they're unwelcome. Because you say in some of the libraries, there's issues. This would identify who's in and out of that building and when and where. But Artie and I did talk about that. I just think that's one possibility because all libraries will stay open, I'm sure. That might be a step into the future. Please consider reworking that budget, Mr. Tobe. We don't want these buildings closed. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Trish Morgan?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to stand before you today. I'm Trish Morgan with Save the Westernport Library, the president of an organization that started in February, trying to raise awareness and funds for Westernport Library and to sustain it and help save that library, of course. First, I would like to thank Artie for being present last week at the organization's budget presentation with the county commissioners. How meaningful it was to all of us in attendance to hear about your full support in keeping all 6 of our libraries open. That meant everything. Thanks again, Artie, for your service on this board of trustees and for speaking up for all of the communities who deserve their libraries. How unfortunate, though, that you're leaving the county for other employment. It's a great loss to the community, a great loss to your board. You're a well-educated, successful, and honorable man, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Now moving on to the topic of my presentation this evening, which focuses on just 5 words that you've heard from Carrie. 5 words that were directed at Mr. Tobe at the commissioners meeting last week. The county commissioners numerous times, by the way, said, take it off the table. And take what off the table? Take closing any libraries off the table. Work with everything else that you can, but leave the libraries alone. That's coming from your county commissioners. 51% of your funding comes from them. So I think that's important to listen to what they have to say. Now, the county commissioners explicitly told your executive director, Mr. Tobe, they didn't want to see a budget that reflected the closures of any of the 6 libraries. They want every library to remain open. Now, Mr. Tobe was a little bit chided by the commissioners who reiterated Mr. Tobe what's told in February at the Westernport meeting, that there was no extra funding, and for Mr. Tobe to come to the budget presentation, ask for an additional $90,000 was just not going to happen. Commissioners told Mr. Tobe to find other ways to decrease budget expenses and increase budget income with grants, foundational support, fundraising, instead of closing any libraries. So what I'm asking each of you on the board is to make a motion to not close any of our 6 libraries. Someone second the motion. Have a discussion, call for a vote next month. Don't wait till June. Do it next month, take it off the table. Work together between now and then to find out how you can work your budget without destroying a community by closing a library. And that at that time, Mr. Tobe and his leadership team can get together, shave the budget down, consider staff pay decreases perhaps, or elimination of position. We all don't want that to happen. That's not why Save the Westernport Library is here, but you've got to look at everything. That's a hard job that Mr. Tobe has to do, and all of you and his leadership team as well. You've got to look at that top-heavy administration.
Sure.
Can I have just half a minute? There is a reason, or there's no reason rather, for your trustees board to wait to see what the county has given you. They told you last night, 1.139. So the work must begin now. Your executive director has a lot of work to accomplish. Any one of you can make that motion on May 13th. It's the responsible and the right thing to do. Save the shuttering of our wonderful public libraries and all the services that our patrons deserve. After all, Mr. Tobe spent 10 minutes last week in front of the county commissioners praising all of the terrific success stories throughout the library system. Yet he wants to close 2 or 3 libraries. Sorry, that doesn't make sense to us. Thank you for the extra time.
Okay.
Justin Searles?
Thank you for allowing me to speak before you. So, to the board, I just wanted to kind of begin by reading a passage from a document that I hope we're all familiar with, but in the Constitution of the United States, and I'm going somewhere with this, But in the Constitution of the United States, preamble says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America." My question is, how does closing a library help promote the general welfare and ensure the blessings of liberty if nobody can learn about them from the shuttering of libraries in our communities? The Western Port Library, to me personally, and as well as the entire library system, is like a family to us. We stand at an important crossroads with the libraries in our community. In your hands is the fate of all of our local institutions of free knowledge and community resources. For years, the residents of our community have cited the destruction thereof through the decline of various forms of industry and recreation, the general decline of the economy across the nation at large, and the decline of the quality of education right here in our county. The future of the dissemination of knowledge is, in various degrees, is in your hands. Knowledge has served as the central pillar to history's greatest civilizations, such as the ancient Greeks and the Hebrews and others. It is through the access of knowledge that we are able to learn from history, create new inventions and innovations, and progress as a civilization. For me personally, the Western Port Library has served as a place of peace to our community. The staff at the library allowed me to do a public lecture on my book, and they are also helping me to promote the book when no other place would. The Western Port Library in particular serves residents that are not able to go anywhere else, as well as the Georges Creek Library as well, and other library institutions in our county. So all of our libraries provide essential services to Allegheny County residents as a whole. Proverbs 18:15 declares that the mind of the discerning acquires knowledge and the ear of the wise seeks it. But above this, Isaiah 1:17 calls for us to learn to do what is good, pursue justice, correct the oppressor, and defend the rights of the fatherless, plead the widow's cause. Closing any library in our county, while library board salaries potentially could increase and library employees could get laid off, is injustice and the oppression of the poor at its highest. It is oppression to Allegheny County residents to shut down the fountains of knowledge. So I call upon you in closing to do what is good, pursue justice for our community, and turn away from oppression. Let the light of free knowledge shine in Allegheny County and keep Western Port open, keep Georges Creek open, and keep all of our libraries open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley, anyone online? No. Okay.
Very good. Thank you all.
Any announcements on upcoming program?
I have several announcements. Unfortunately, Andrea Everett has announced that she has taken another position as resigning as the head of human resources for the library system effective June 30th. So we'll be beginning a search for a replacement, most likely in the half-time capacity. There's been a lot of talk about the Institute for Museum and Library Services, IMLS as it's called. On March 31st, all of the 75 employees that on administrative leave. IMLS is the primary federal support for libraries and museums in the United States. They usually provide grants, research and policy development. It has an annual budget of about $295 million. They give out their grants to each state based on their population. So those grants go towards a variety of state and local services, including workforce development, digital literacy, after-school programs for children, field trips to students, to visit libraries, museums, and historical sites. In the case of Allegheny County Library System, we get IMLS funding in the form of a staff development grant of $15,000. Those federal funds have been terminated, but luckily for us, Andrea has wisely used other sources of staff development funding so that we have not encumbered any of that $15,000 that we will not get reimbursed for. So that is the status of Allegheny County Library System and the IMLS agency. I will update you and say that the State Library Agency and other library professionals across the state are working with the Attorney General of Maryland as part of their multi-state lawsuit against the Trump administration over illegal cuts to federal agencies, including IMLS. So that's the long and the short answer of how is IMLS affecting the Allegheny County Library System. Another update, we worked with EG Energy Insights, starting July 1, we will be reducing our electricity costs from 10.3 cents per kilowatt hour to 10.3 cents per kilowatt hour from 10.8 cents per kilowatt hour. So that half a penny difference per kilowatt hour will save fundings or at least decrease the acceleration of our electricity charges. So next we're in the middle of National Library Week, so happy National Library Week, everyone. And Ashley is going to tell us about some of the cool stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so happy National Library Week. We're happy to be celebrating. This year's theme is Drawn to the Library, which highlights how libraries inspire creativity, connection, and community. And it's the perfect segue to the first highlight and first activity. In September, during Library Card Sign-Up Month, we did a call out for patrons to design their own library cards with the theme, What the Library Means to You. So you have some samples up on the board. Please visit the circulation desk after the meeting and switch your library card to one of these. Super cute. They have the name of the designer on the back. So I'm really happy to be able to do that project and share everyone's love and creativity for the library. Also, we have Food for Vines. We do that every year. This year it's on Tuesday, so today is Food for Vines Day. Patrons can bring in canned goods, non-perishable items that will benefit the Western Maryland Food Bank. For every item they bring in, they can get $1 waived off their account, up to $15. So that one's always a great win for the library. People are coming in, using the library, getting access again. Patrons win by getting stuff fines off their account, and then the food bank wins and the community wins because we're helping families in need. We also have some great documentary screenings going on this week. We're screening Free for All. It's an MPT documentary. It's inside the public library, and it covers the history and the impact of libraries across the country. And we have one going on at Frostburg at 5 o'clock. You might be able to catch the middle of it. And then we're going to follow each screening with community discussions on the value of libraries. So like I said, the one at Frostburg is going on tonight. There's one tomorrow at ACM at 12:30 at their Thomas Welcome Center. And then there's one here at the South Cumberland Library on Friday. That one's at noon. Yep. So try to catch one of the screenings. It's a really great way to see the history and inspiration of libraries across the country. And then, as I mentioned before, we are participating in the 101 Reasons Why I Love My Library campaign, gathering testimonials, videos of the personal impact that libraries had on the community members. So we're sharing those out on social media throughout the week. So follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, if you don't already, and share your stories too. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. While you're here.
Yeah.
Could you also update the board on our latest improvement to make sure that our web services are more accessible to more people?
Yes.
The Recite Me toolbar?
Absolutely. So on the website, we now have an accessibility tool. It's called Recite Me. If you visit the website, you'll see a little blue person button at the bottom right corner. Every page has this. And when you click on that, an accessibility tool appears at the top of the screen, and users can customize their experience and use tools such as a screen reader, text magnification, translate it into over 100 languages. And you can adjust the colors for different things like for color blindness and being able to read the text better. So again, like John said, this helps us meet the web content accessibility compliance standards and make sure that our website's inclusive and accessible to everyone.
Hey,
Is
thank you.
anything? All right, thank you.
All right, and then, last update is, last week, the 4th, we started, distributing the gun safety locks at all of our libraries, and we've given out over 90 now, Shay, and so that's very exciting at all of our branches, so, that is a partnership with the health department, to give out, gun safety locks, 2 per day per family, so that anyone can pick them up for free. Yes, sir.
Can they be put in the town halls as well, because if the library is not always open, the office will be, you can hand them out as well.
We can ask that, we'll forward that question to the health department.
That's not, they're still there 40 hours a week, so it'd be more.
Great. Thank you, good idea. So that's exciting that they've taken off and are so popular in the first weeks. All right, that is the end of my announcements.
Couple announcements, man.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. First and
Like
foremost,
we could stop you.
I know.
first and foremost, thank you, Trish, and all the other members that continue to come to these Board of Trustees meetings. As Trish had indicated, I am looking to move out of the region. My first thought was to move to Lonacone and run for city council. But
I'll give you my job.
and my second thought is that I've made a commitment when I came onto this, particularly with boards and with the issues with our budget. And I think you already know that I don't want to close any library. It's for our children and it's for our adults. But I also don't want to continue to see these hardworking staffers work below the poverty line and get paid below the poverty line. I've got a real big heart for young people and for professionals and for people in the community. Those are my 2 things, but I do not want to close a library. But with that, I will be tendering my resignation to the executive director for June 30th. My 2 daughters that are in the Bowie area keep asking me when am I coming down there. I've got 2 grandchildren down there. I think my 2 daughters need a babysitter, so I will be still present, still with physical address, but I will be checking out on the 30th of June. And to let Mr. Taub know that, so I suspect that the interview committee might possibly be looking to replace the queen of the board of the trustees and the clown. And you like that?
I do.
Okay.
Just debating who's who.
And just want to acknowledge John also. I'm glad that you're killing those Watts. Right, I got that. I'm sorry. My kids call me corny.
Where did they get that from?
The cool.
No, the corny.
Oh, the corny. I don't know.
Debbie wants to say
That-
something.
Say, 8 o'clock tonight, MPT, the great reveal, Dr. Terry Lewis Gates from Piedmont, West Virginia, and the Gates family on Green Street. I've been looking forward to it for months.
Yeah, it'll be a goodie.
Tune in, think what, here in town, West Virginia, 6 or 11, here in Frostburg, you know what your channel is, West Report saying.
One more. I also just want to acknowledge the work of Ms. Everett. I've been on the trustees for a couple of years, and I have appreciated the professionalism, the integrity, and all the other efforts that she made as our human resources person. We all know that it's the human resources people that keep us out of the library, keep us out of the out of the courthouse. Out of the courthouse. and want to say thank you for your service as you transition off. Mhm.
Anything else?
I'll give him a minute.
I know. That's why. He'll think of something.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Next meeting
You
scheduled
may.
for Tuesday, May 13th at the LaVale Library at 4 p.m.